For the second part of our Lesson 8 grammar here, we're going to take a look at how to ask people directly not to do things. That is, taking the short negative versions of verbs and using them to say, please don't do such and such. Before we get into the specifics, let's take a look at 3 common ways to tell people not to do things in Japan. One of these we've previously seen. We'll use for our example here this phrase, ベッドでタバコを吸う. Smoking cigarettes in bed. A bad idea by any measure. Now, we've previously looked at how to say you're not allowed to do something, and that's this first example here. ベッドでタバコを吸ってはいけません. Remember that the てはいけません construction is a way of telling people what is not allowed. Literally translated, it won't do to have you behaving this way. Again, we could translate this first version as, you're not allowed to smoke in bed. Our second example is the one we'll take a closer look at in this lesson, and that's directly appealing to someone to not do something. We'll phrase it thusly. ベッドでタバコを吸わないでください. Literally translated, please don't smoke tobacco in bed. This is a direct appeal to someone, asking them not to do something. And the main focus of this lesson. The fourth example here is ベッドでタバコを吸うな. You'll see this quite common on signs in Japanese public spaces. This is the least polite way of telling someone not to do something, but also the most direct. Translated, it means, simply put, don't smoke in bed. Caution, there is no hint of politeness here. Using the verb in its dictionary form, plus na, is a strong caution not to do something. You should use it only if someone is in imminent harm from the action they're about to take. As again, it is not in the least bit polite. All right, let's take a look at how to make that second construction then and ask people politely not to do something. As we spent time in a previous lesson detailing and talking about the short negative forms of verbs in Japanese, we won't go into detail here. What we do need to focus on is how to bring it into Japanese so that we can say, please don't do something. In order to accomplish this, we'll take the verb, su, and change it into its short negative, add the particle de, and then our polite please word, kudasai, at the end. Thereby ending up with this phrase, ベッドでタバコを吸わないでください. ベッドでタバコを吸わないでください. Literally translated, please don't smoke in bed. We should also note here that kudasai is optional. You can use the short negative plus de to ask people not to do things, and this is perfectly fine when speaking with friends or family. So feel free to leave out the kudasai when you're talking with someone who's close to you. ベッドでタバコを吸わないで. Don't smoke in bed. For our next example, 日本語のクラスで英語を話す. Speaking English in Japanese class. Here again, we'll put our verb into its short negative. Hanasu becomes hanasanai, hanasanai. Add our particle de, and then finally, please, kudasai. To ask someone not to speak English in Japanese class, therefore, we would say, 日本語のクラスで英語を話さないでください. 日本語のクラスで英語を話さないでください. Another example. 郵便局で空手をする. To practice, to do karate at the post office? Probably not a good idea. How would we tell someone, not that this will ever be useful to us, but if we see some people practicing karate in the post office and we want to ask them to stop, how will we phrase that? Again, we use the short negative. Suru, recall, is a irregular verb. So する becomes しないでください。郵便局で空手をしないでください。郵便局で空手をしないでください。Please don't do karate in the post office. You see some friends cheating on a test and want to tell them, please don't cheat on a test. In Japanese, テストのカニング。Cunning here, obviously borrowed from English. So to cheat in Japanese is カニングをする。する, once again, an irregular verb, so する becomes しない at our particle で and ください. Please don't cheat on a test. In Japanese, phrased thusly. テストのカニングをしないでください。テストのカニングをしないでください。Not that any of you ever would, of course. Perhaps you see two kids fighting, or some friends of yours or some loved ones of yours fighting in Japanese. The word for to fight in Japanese, 喧嘩をする。喧嘩をする. You want to tell them, please don't fight. 喧嘩をしないでください. If they're little kids, you don't need to be polite. Perhaps friends or relatives, you don't need to be polite and could simply say, 喧嘩をしないで。喧嘩をしないで. If you're the babysitter and want to sound more stern, you could use the very informal, that is the more direct one we looked at earlier, and that is 喧嘩をするな. Don't fight, kids. 喧嘩をするな. And for our final example, in Japan, as well as in this country, it's bad manners to use your smartphone when you're supposed to be interfacing with other people. How do we say that in Japanese? ご飯の時に, when you're eating your meal, スマホ, this is a contraction of the borrowed word スマートフォン. スマートフォン. スマホ is the Japanese word for smartphone. So, スマホを使う. So how would we say, please don't use your smartphone when we're eating? The short negative of 使う, recall, ends in u. Remember, we have to shift up and all the way over. So instead of 使わない, we end up with 使わない. 使わない, to not use. 使わないでください. Altogether then, ご飯の時にスマホを使わないでください. Please don't use your smartphone when eating. So, to practice, 宿題を忘れないでください。宿題を忘れないでください。